What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be covering some tips and tricks that you can hopefully use to improve your Smash Ultimate gameplay, and maybe if you want to land somewhere in bracket or just, maybe beat that one friend that you haven't been able to, hopefully these tips and tricks will be able to improve your gameplay. So the very first one we're going to talk about is one that a lot of people get really frustrated with, but you got to understand it's going to happen. That is, understand you will be beaten, and that's not always a bad thing. Losing is never the worst thing in the world, primarily for the reason that if you lose to someone better than you, at least you got to fight someone better than you who you hopefully learned from. Now, if you didn't learn from them, go back and watch the game that you did. Hopefully you saved something, or just keep playing them and witness how they play, and hopefully you can learn to play a little bit better by doing so. Now, every now and then when people start playing like that, it's kind of, what's the word for it? It pretty much demoralizes you, I guess you could say. But eventually you'll start to kind of appreciate the fact that you're learning from playing somebody who's just clearly better than you. Next thing we're going to talk about is a really big part of getting better, which is stop rolling. Rolling is not the answer to everything. If you roll back and forth constantly, eventually it will get slower. Your opponent will notice it and they will punish appropriately. And if they don't, you're not playing someone who will make you better anyway. After a while, just rolling is never the option, and there's so many better options than just consistently rolling. Now, it's okay to roll every now and then. Maybe you're in a tight situation and you got to get out of it or something like that. You got to roll out. That's cool. Someone's charging something, you don't want to roll this way because they can possibly hit you from that distance. Roll in, avoid the situation, counter. That's fine too. But you can do so many better things than rolling. You can jump out of there if you need to. You could parry if you need to. You could even just shield if you know something's going to happen. You could spot dodge. I love spot dodging. Spot dodging is one of the better ones to me because not only does it allow you to basically avoid the hit, but you're still up close and personal. So you can spot dodge and counter if you need to. That's always good. So basically, just try not to roll too much. Rolling will lead you to basically getting killed. Another big one that a lot of people don't seem to mention too often is that if you only play one character, chances are you really only know how to play against that one character, or you only really know what that one character can do, and that leaves you to be a big target for a lot of people because they know a lot more than one character. So the third tip is to actually play every single character. Now that does not mean becoming a professional with every single character, because that's just not possible, like the master of none basically. You need to be good with, your main, but you need to understand that every character has a weakness, every character has a strength, and pretty much capitalize accordingly. So basically get an idea of how to play every character and how every character will play against you so that you can predict and hopefully counter how that character will attack you. The next one, which I kind of already talked about previously, is watch replays of yourself to see where you fail. So the cool thing about Smash Ultimate is you're actually able to save a lot of your replays and go back and look at them, or maybe you just want to show them off. But a lot of people, what they'll like to do is they'll actually watch the replay and see where they failed. And hopefully, if they are able to see where they fail, they're able to pretty much fix that in the future, not worry about it later, and move on. And that makes them a whole lot better, makes them a whole lot more difficult to deal with. So it's just one of those things where as long as you're constantly learning, even if you're losing or even if you messed up somewhere on the line, as long as you're learning, it's fine to fail. Especially when you can save your replays and basically look over everything that you messed up on. And this is going to be the last one, but it's one of those things where you don't even really have to play the game to get better. You just need to understand the mentality that you should have when approaching this, which is basically don't get overwhelmed. A lot of people, when they get overwhelmed in the game, typically start doing a whole lot worse. They start doing really bad. By that I mean there's multiple ways to get overwhelmed. A good way or not a good way, but a really bad way to get overwhelmed is, let's say you put 100 damage on this Bowser and they don't do anything to you, and then you make a mistake and you maybe fall off the edge charging Flood and you're just down a stock when they did nothing. Sometimes that just eats at you. It's one of those things where it throws off your mood, it throws off your game style, and you basically can't play the way that you typically do play. Another thing that can get a lot of players, which you'll see a lot of people doing this, and sometimes people just are unaware it even happens, is that after a player, takes a stock, they'll sometimes taunt. Now that taunt can do a lot of different things. But the most common thing it does, especially to a new player, is that it usually infuriates them and makes them charge you. And instead of playing, safe, maybe throwing out short hops and just light things like that, they'll just run in charging smash, and they will only go for smash without realizing that's exactly what the opponent wanted them to do. They wanted you to start playing dumb so they can pretty much play accordingly and counter you. Don't let that overwhelm you. Don't get too irritated. Just understand that that's what they want from you, and you should not give that to them. Now, there is another option when getting taunted that actually kind of works in the player's favor. If you are able to remain calm and play through the game that is going on, sometimes being taunted can light a fire under you, and it can actually make your opponent start to sweat. And they basically ended up taunting to get bodied, as you hear quite often. But once they see that you are basically not taking the bait and that you start overwhelming them, chances are you've got that game in the bag. So those are my tips for Smash Ultimate. I hope these help you a lot. Like, share, and subscribe for more, and thank you guys so much for watching.